going on in China is a little bit warped. I don't know, like, if you think, first of all, America funds art programs. Every government funds art programs, okay? Just so you understand. It's a matter of how much you fund art programs and humanities, okay? The idea that there is a government out there on this planet right now, as it stands, that focuses zero on funding the humanities and funding art is ridiculous. And not only that, but humanities are complementary to STEM in general. Okay, art is important. Humanities are important. Okay, the idea that like 100% full-blown STEM is the way to go is also silly. I'm sorry, you are wrong. What is this? What is this? Oh, ow my balls. He sent me a Reddit post. What the fuck is this? In China, young graduates are selling their knowledge on the streets, facing a difficult job market. Highly educated Chinese have found a new way to monetize their degrees, knowledge street vending. What? I never said that first of all, I didn't say that the Chinese job market for the youth is good, for the record. We're talking about something entirely different. But I don't know how this says, sorry, I was reading chat. I don't know how this has anything to do with what I'm talking about. We're talking about education and the fact that, the Chinese government does fund art and humanities. They still do that. China has the biggest proportion of STEM majors out of any nation in the world. Graph in the link. I was mistaken, though, regarding America having a lot of humanities majors. It's middle of the pack. Wait, oh, you got clapped while I was in the process of reading your take. I'm a Mexican aerospace engineer in a border city in Mexico. I have peers that have gone to LA to work for a certain defense company that have said they feel stuck with zero negotiating power, having borderline management role with low pay, all because they don't want to lose the visa. Yeah, of course. Let's see what the rest of what Delayed Autistic Guppy said was. Okay, he said, World Graph, I was mistaken, though, regarding America having lots of humanities majors is in the middle of the pack instead of STEM. Many people go into business and finance. Okay, so as far as the highest number, if you're looking at this proportionally, I don't know what percentage of Chinese STEM graduates, because this is totality. And of course, China and India in totality are going to be much higher in terms of STEM majors. China and India are much larger countries. I don't know what percentage is as far as like total percentage goes. Percentage of total graduates in STEM fields, China is at 41%, Russia is at 37%, Germany is at 36%, USA is at 20% in the year 2020. Okay, Russia, Germany, Iran has 33%, India has 30%, France has 26%, Mexico has 26%, USA has 20%. Okay, overall, this still means that the broad majority of every nation, including Chinese graduates, are still in the humanities and art. As far as a proportion of total graduates, the ones that go into STEM fields is still at 41%, when Chinese STEM field is the highest percentage. That means 59% are still humanities and arts graduates. Do you understand? Or business, finance, and the like. Wait, no, that was the mistake I did. Just because you're not STEM doesn't mean that you're humanities. The rest of the people are business, finance. No, I know. I know. I understand that. And in the United States of America, I'm willing to bet that a sizable chunk of this is actually business and finance majors and not necessarily humanities and art. And that's part of the reason why it's so low here. And that is because that's where the money is. It doesn't mean that it's all art and literature. You also don't have to major in humanities. You just have to take those classes when you STEM major because they're good for you. Yeah, I don't necessarily know how well flushed out like the Chinese STEM education is, but I still suspect that they probably have every higher degree, whether you're in a college in America or anywhere in the world, requires you to take at least some level of humanities classes. Even if you're STEM in the United States of America, you still have to take some humanities classes. I suspect that it's probably still the same in China as well. And I don't know how much more well-rounded the Chinese STEM degrees look like, but it's the overall a good thing to have that. No, STEM in Germany requires no humanities. If China had no humanities, they wouldn't have so many fucking art museums. Chatter's tripping. One interesting note is that many Americans are not bilingual, which in present-day U.S. market can actually put you well below U.S. citizens in terms of marketability to capital owners. Outside of the U.S., high school is very robust. College is already specialized by them. Yeah, that's also the other part of this, at least from my own personal experience. Even in Turkey, when you start specializing by high school, you still have, like, I was a TM major, which means I took Turkish, which is like literature, and math, as opposed to FM majors, who specialize in science, and math. Math is still very important and something that you need to take. Like, we took up the Calc 2 in high school. By the time you get to college in Turkey, you already have that. You already have that background. So I suspect that like a lot of the high school education is also better flushed out in these other countries rather than the way it is in America. Actually, I don't even know fully how it is in the United States of America. But yeah, U.S. math in high school, like the Common Core high school math that you take is definitely significantly worse than the rest of the world. I had Calc 1 senior year for college credits in high school, no Calc 2. A lot of the big tech companies right now are losing a lot of talent to private equity / hedge funds. I know developers who are in their late 20s that are making $225K a year plus 50 to 75K source firm hedge fund developer who got the fuck out. I make less now, but at least I'm not selling my soul. Yeah. Notice how here, I'll just say it like this, okay? I have obviously personal experience with this, not from my own immediate experience in the workforce, but let's just say I know someone who is very close to me, who is highly educated and builds spaceships for a living, okay? And what I have seen in terms of workplace treatment, in terms of job prospects, in terms of what that specific sector looks like, you would be shocked, okay? I was certainly shocked when I saw how incredibly dire the situation is, where, and I talked about this yesterday as well, every sector in the United States of America, including like what was formerly known as the golden bracelet sectors, like engineering, maybe lawyering, being a doctor. Engineering was supposed to be part of that process. Nowadays, even engineering is basically relegated to the passion that you have for building certain things, because it's certainly not about the money. If you're an engineer and you want to make money, you got to go into finance. The only fucking sector that you can make money in is finance, okay? It's business and finance. That's it. That's it. And that's precisely why so many people that have, no matter what their fucking background is, go into that sector. So if you understand the motivational capacity that wages have, your salary has, then you can understand how to fix this problem. Are you saying doctors don't make good money? No, I'm saying engineers don't make as much good money as they used to. Anyway, the point is, it all still comes back to wages. If you want to positively incentivize people into going to certain sectors that need extra hand, you have to ensure that wages are higher and that sector is still capable of recruiting the top level talent. But we have a negative incentivization structure in the United States of America, where basically we make it so that the bottom is endless, and therefore you're constantly competing with the entire globe, with the labor force of the entire fucking globe, where your starting position is worse off in general too, despite the fact that you're in the wealthiest nation on the fucking planet, okay? You're in the wealthiest nation on the planet, a nation that has seen a 14% increase in homelessness this past year, okay? Think about that. 700,000 people are sleeping outside tonight. Insane. On top of that, you have to take you're saddled with student loan debts that force you into jobs that you don't even want to fucking take, despite your educational attainment. And people eat one another alive when they're talking about, or it was 18% increase, sorry. It's not 14% increase. People are eating one another alive and yelling about how college is for the elites and it's gay and woke and that's the real problem and DEI is the real problem or whatever. A number of different unnecessary and idiotic fucking takes are flying around. Meanwhile, people like Elon Musk are robbing you fucking blind. And this story in and of itself is fantastic for me because I think it exposes how easily tricked many Americans are and how they utilize the racism button to gain favor and continue further division in American society as they continue their domination. They don't give a fuck about anything other than making more money, okay? They only care about profits. It doesn't matter what happens to you.
Musk, who himself is from South Africa, said that he once had this kind of visa, and he's arguing that Silicon Valley is facing a shortage of excellent engineering talent, as he put it. But the annual cap on those kinds of visas right now is at $65,000, with another 20,000 for those who get a master's or a doctorate in the U.S. Musk is being backed up by his partner in Trump's government efficiency initiative, Vivek Ramaswamy. He says it's a cultural issue that there aren't more competitive engineers in the U.S. Here's what he said online. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the job.
Like, this is so stupid. It's incredible. We're not venerating our nerds enough. Our culture doesn't venerate nerds. Yeah, that's the problem. Thank you, Vivek. I love that Vivek basically was like, yeah, I got no pussy when I was in high school, so now it's your fault. Also, it's not like Vivek is a fucking engineer. What does he produce? He hasn't done shit. He's a hedge fund guy. He is a pharma bro. He's a fucking Silicon Valley tech guy. Him, JD Vance, Elon Musk even. Elon Musk is at least like visibly autistic as fuck, so people assume that he's like some kind of fucking engineering savant when he's not. He has one fucking patent. What the fuck has he done? He has one patent. All he does is hire the appropriate people and then fucking, put them under horrific circumstances. Oh, not him projecting. These guys are all business majors LARPing like they're actually fucking cooking up new inventions. It's all aesthetics. There actually was one guy in my high school who qualified for the U.S. International Math Olympiad team, but now works in a quant firm. It's so messed up that his talents are being focused to trade the stock market due to that being what capitalism brought. Exactly. I'm sure that dude could apply himself better in a public research capacity instead of churning out extra profits for capital owners who hire him. Okay? But that's where the big bag is. So why the fuck would you not go there? The only thing that stops you from going there is the genuine passion that you have. This is what I was talking about with respect to fucking engineering. The only thing that keeps certain engineers continuously in the engineering side of things and not going to fucking finance where all the money is certainly not the fucking job prospects. It's certainly not the comfortable salary that you get. It is your own pure passion. It is autism. Okay. It is the autistic interest that you have in building certain things. That's it. That's it. And some people go, all right, fuck this. I need to make money. And then they go into finance anyway. Like there is so much talent in this world. There is so much talent in this world, from highly educated people all the way to people whose potential is robbed from them due to the unequal circumstances they were born into. Okay? Where people could apply themselves to truly make revolutionary, groundbreaking, world-changing technology to improve people's lives in a dramatic capacity. And yet, all of that talent and all of that brain power is lost to the fucking finance sector because that's the only thing that makes money. That's the only thing that people care about. And as all these other sectors offer you very little pay as the cost of living increases in these major cities that you have to get these jobs at, that's it. We're just cooking ourselves. We're cooking society. Stop using the word autistic to describe any interest in something, please. Okay, I will not stop using the word autistic when talking about someone who is autistic. What the fuck are you talking about? Shut up. Anyway, let's continue.
Talk over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zach and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel and Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. But that argument is not going over well with Trump's MAGA base, certainly not online. Some of them saying, we did not ask them to engineer an immigration policy. Tech wants indentured servants, not high-skilled workers. You don't even know what MAGA immigration policy is. Now, Trump...
Wait, Ann Coulter said American workers can leave a company, imported H-1B workers can't. Tech wants indentured servants, not high-skilled workers. Yeah, it's not just tech, by the way, Ann Coulter. It certainly isn't just tech. Let me tell you, it's every sector. It's every sector. That's where undocumented migrants come in. You know, driving your Ubers, picking the crops. Who do you think is doing that? Building houses. Who is working in the kitchen? The problem is capitalism makes people more vicious and more self-interested and causes people not to recognize that a lot of Americans or a lot of people across the globe have the exact same interests, the exact same class interests. So when those class dynamics are mystified consistently through the likes of identity politics and all these other different classifications that are applied to workers broadly, and the attitude developed within liberalism is this zero-sum game always. People go, why the fuck would you raise the wages for undocumented migrants? Fuck them. They should be deported. Not realizing that if there was at least some kind of legal safeguards for undocumented migrants, that they could be processed and become documented laborers in the American marketplace, in the American labor marketplace, where they could actually work alongside the documented U.S. labor force and unionize and demand higher wages and better workplace protections, it would genuinely improve all labor in this country. But as it stands, the way we operate, we have a constant depressive force on wages, an endless talent pool that refreshes through incredibly violent means such as deportation. Okay? Those guys are just the same as you. There is nothing different between an undocumented migrant and a documented U.S. laborer. There's no difference whatsoever. They're just trying to make a living in the exact same ways that you are trying to make a living. They're coming from dire circumstances in comparison to the average American worker. That much is true. But if there were universal workplace protections, they wouldn't be endlessly exploited in the same way. And therefore, they would not operate in a depressive capacity to the rest of the marketplace, the rest of the fucking wage laborers. The system has created an endless bounty of treats that are at an affordable price point for the average American consumer. So on that front, that level of consumption has this dulling effect on the, I guess, labor aristocracy in the United States of America. However, it has consistently not only depressed wages, where wages have not kept up with productivity, but also on top of that, it just ruins your life further and further, slowly but surely. All the big ticket items that you need, like a college education for upward social mobility, is now impossible to attain without taking on hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loans that will then trap you into jobs that you don't want to actually do, that you are overqualified for. But it doesn't matter, because what else is out there? Someone has to pay those fucking student loan debts. So you take on these jobs in the service sector, even though you're supposed to be doing something different. And it ties you into that job. Not only are you saddled with death, but you're tied to that job because there's no other way for you to get health care.
Workers, you don't even know what MAGA immigration policy is. Now, Trump himself, who I should note restricted H-1B visas in his first term, has said on the campaign trail this time around that he did want to make it easier for educated foreigners to work in the U.S.
What I want to do and what I will do is you graduate from a college.
China spends 7 trillion yuan, about 1 trillion USD on education, more than double what they spend on defense, more than what the U.S. spends on defense. University is basically free even for the poorest villager. Yeah, we can't do that. That's too costly. And also, if education is free, who the fuck is going to go? If college is free, who is going to join the American military? If college is free, then why the fuck would you sign your soul to the Defense Department, to the Pentagon? Hello? If college is free, then you no longer have student loan debts that you have to pay off. Why the fuck would you take on? Why? You would have too much leverage. You would have far too much leverage to say no to certain jobs until those jobs actually pay well enough. That's it. That's the entire principle behind the way that our system is designed. It's negative incentives all the way down. Here. Can you believe it? This is a Chinese university, the Hebei Institute of Fine Arts in China, built and subsidized by the people. Anyway, I mean, this is one fucking college. We need to do a broader. We can look into like Chinese humanities and arts funding in a little bit.
College. I think you should get automatically, as part of your diploma, a green card to be able to stay in this country. And that includes junior colleges, too. Anybody graduates from a college, you go in there for 2 years or 4 years. If you graduate or you get a doctorate degree from a college, you should be able to stay in this country.
My political sources tonight are former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, CNN political commentator and Republican strategist Shermichael Singleton, and also CNN economics and political commentator Catherine Rampell. And Catherine, you have covered this issue for a long time. Can you just lay out what we're looking at here in this divide between what Elon Musk says he thinks would be the best for the United States and why we are seeing something that we have not seen, frankly, almost at all lately, which is a lot of people in the MAGA universe outright disagreeing with him, arguing with him, and breaking with him online.
So Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy in this particular case, I think are exactly right. America's ability to attract talent from around the world is basically our economic superpower. The fact that in particular, we've been able to attract high-skilled immigrants quite reliably in this country over the past century or so is why we have this enduring leadership in science, tech, and business. So just as an example, of all Fortune 500 companies, about half of them were founded by immigrants or the children of immigrants. And of the Nobel laureates, American Nobel laureates who have received prizes for the hard sciences this century, about 40% of them are immigrants who came to this country. So again, this is our superpower. And I'm very glad that Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy recognize it. I very much hope that they are able to influence Donald Trump on this particular issue, but I'm doubtful about it because just as you mentioned, in his first term, Trump was actually quite hostile to legal immigrants, in particular, by the way, high-skilled legal immigrants. He made it really hard for them to come here, not just those who wanted work authorization, international students who cross-subsidize American students, by the way. He basically harassed them and made it very difficult for them to keep their legal documents in order. That's because as much as Trump has said, oh, he only objects to illegal immigration, he's very much in favor of legal immigration, his policies don't bear that out. And that's partly because Stephen Miller is the one who was the architect of Donald Trump's immigration policies last time around and will probably do so again this time around, and is unlikely to adopt the sort of Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy view of things.
Yeah, Stephen Miller's getting a huge job in the West Wing. He's been around Trump for the 4 years he was out of office. And sure, Michael, as the Republican here, I wonder what your view on this is, because this is happening within the Republican Party. I mean, these are two top advisors to Trump, the MAGA world, who are kind of framing this as the true believers who say, we asked for stricter immigration policies. That didn't mean coming with a carve out for high skilled workers that they say are taking American jobs here.
Yeah, look, I think with all due respect to Mr. Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they should focus on saving federal dollars for the taxpayers and not immigration policy. I understand some of the points that Catherine made, and I agree to an extent, but I think the U.S. should focus more on domestic skill development. Studies also show that H-1B1 exacerbates employers hiring individuals from outside of the country when they could potentially hire minorities, for an example, which we know there's a shortage in the STEM fields. There are a significant number of Americans who I think would love opportunities if they had the proper training and skills to operate in those jobs fairly well. So why not start and focus there? I'm not of the support or mindset, Caitlin, that we should let in more than the 60,000+ that were already let into the country. Do we have some deficits? I certainly understand that point, again, to what Catherine was sort of alluding to. But I think by focusing on increasing domestic skill development, you can decrease the furtherance of those deficits by virtue of saying, you know what, we're going to spend more of our time, more of our dollars educating our own citizens to compete for these jobs versus saying, let's increase to 100,000 or maybe even more.
Right wing has arrived at DI by accident. What if I were to tell you that all matter of white identity politics is already white DEI? What if I were to tell you that all the racism that you see is literally white DEI? Everybody loves DEI. Listen to a bunch of the Musk Loomer space. It's so wild. It's so embarrassing. Musk says accurately and repeatedly. Loomer said she would escalate her complaint to Trump, and Musk asked her who she thought she was. You're not the people. You're a person. Let's get that straight. And an insane person at that. That's it. As someone here on H-1B, this discourse has made me really concerned about my situation. There's no other legal pathway to immigration without an H-1B. No, I know. Also, H-1Bs are not bad. It is good. It's a good structure on principle. It's a good structure in theory. I don't even care. It doesn't even need to be H-1B visas. I don't take issue with any sort of migration in general. I want to fucking document all of the laborers across the board that are working in American commodity production, because I understand that is the only way to improve wages and benefits for all American workers. The problem is they don't want to do that, and American capital owners only want to utilize H-1B visa workers in a way to exploit them further, in a way that they can exploit them more than they can exploit the documented U.S. labor force, because there are Multiple pressures on top of that. Marvel with me and wig at 4 p.m. bruv, says Elam. Yes, bruv. I'm down, bruv. Type shit. I'm down, lad. Elam, I don't know if you know this, but I'm gold 3, okay? Get us some fucking... Elam, go find us some supports, though. We need supports. Manchester.
Or for employers to bring in individuals from India, which is a predominant country where many of them come from. I don't agree with that at all. And I think folks in the MAGA world have every right to be angry with Vivek and Elon Musk.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point because I saw that argument being made, but also I saw Mark Cuban, Mr. Mayor, responding to that saying, well, and I think we have what he had posted quoting to Elon Musk and Vivek saying, well, everyone, argue college is overrated. If you're arguing we need to have more homegrown engineers, don't we need more kids who are going to college? I mean, I think he's being a bit sarcastic there, but that is kind of the dual arguments that you...
I mean, that's it. That's it. You can't literally be like, college sucks and it's gay and woke and there should be no college. You shouldn't go to college. And then simultaneously be like, oh, what the fuck? Why are there so many more better educated immigrant labor out there? Yeah, no shit, dude. Of course. You have literally systematically destroyed American education for years to turn profit, to make the broader populace more servile, easier to dominate, more malleable. You've made college so goddamn expensive that when American laborers want to be more productive and get education, higher education, you've made it impossible for them to do so without being saddled with thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. And then you're just shocked. Your argument doesn't make sense there. What do you mean? How does it not make sense? Education is consistently defunded and undermined in this country, driving a massive wedge between the quote unquote middle class, like working class and capital owners. If you're from a wealthy background, you can go to an elite private school. Okay. It's very costly, but at least you get the top notch education. Okay. Then from there on, you can go to a better college. If you're already wealthy, your parents probably went to a good college. Therefore, you have the one true affirmative action that everybody fucking allows in this country, legacy admission. You're set up in a way where if you're wealthy, your next of kin will also have a massive, robust network. Okay? For poor people, for poor Americans, they do not get any of these benefits. They're cooked. And they are, the quality of education that they get, if you're a part of the underclass, gets worse and worse year over year. What about POCs that are in higher education but are not getting those jobs? This is an issue that affects all Americans. Wait, what? What? I'm confused as to why you think this is like somehow opposing an argument that I've presented. I genuinely don't know what you're saying, unless you mean POCs as a person of capital. Is that what you're saying?
You see sometimes from this political orbit.
Look, I see a couple of things going on here. First of all, I have to say I agree with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. I think they're pointing out the reality that we're living. You could say, and I hear Shermichael's point, I disagree with it, though, because I think it misses the fact that we want to get to the place where we can maximize the use of our own talent in this country. Let's bring in the best and brightest from all around the world. Let's really make our economy stronger. Let's become even more tech dominant. That's the way, in fact, to elevate the whole country and to create more opportunity for Americans of all kinds in the tech field. So I don't know why on earth we wouldn't want to grab all the talent out there, especially because if we don't, our competitors will. I think it's also fascinating that we're seeing this kind of open conflict. I think it's going to be the first of many. And of course, that speaks to the question of Elon Musk's role. I think
POC equals people of color. Yeah, I know that. I'm making a joke. I don't understand what that chatter is saying undermines my point. I don't know why he was being contentious when he brought up people of color. I was making a joke when I said, unless you're talking about people of capital.
Really soon, we're going to see more divergence between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. It's natural, given each of them having the power they have. I think that's going to be a very, very important storyline in 2025, that these two people who appear to be allies but really have very different interests start to diverge issue by issue. We saw it also during the recent budget fight. I think we're going to see it on issues like artificial intelligence and climate, where Musk has been in a different place than.
About 1 million arts and literature graduates in China out of 4.7 million graduates last year, about 21% according to Statista, above around 10% for U.S. according to some sources. So China has double the number of arts and literature graduates in China than the United States of America, percentage-wise. So it is mostly just fucking business and finance. Or I feel like STEM also features finance. because you got like quants and shit, like math majors. Anyway.
That's going to have ramification for how successful Trump can be in general. And then finally, I mean, look, for the MAGA world to be turning on their own this quickly. This is also an interesting question. They almost look like Democrats here. It's like, so I say this lovingly as a Democrat, like we have an ability to eat our own very quickly sometimes. Well, this is fascinating. Here are these heroes just a few minutes ago, and they say one thing that a lot of the MAGA world disagrees with, and suddenly they're being villainized. That's not good for that coalition.
Yeah, I think that's interesting in terms of what the West Wing will look like, too. I mean, Elon Musk is not coming in, Catherine, but in an official capacity, but he's in the room. He's always at Mar-a-Lago. Trump jokes about how he's always often there.
Yeah, Laura Loomer, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Laura Loomer actually did bring up a good point where there's a lot of like entry-level jobs that where Tesla and even SpaceX, I think, where Elon Musk relied on H-1B visa workers rather than American laborers. And we know what the real reason as to why he did that. The real reason as to why he did that is because, once again, H-1B visa workers are more easy to dominate. Okay? That's it. They have additional pressure on top of the regular fucking pressures that the documented U.S. labor force has. They're more vulnerable. They have less leverage. They can be deported if they don't play ball, if they lose their jobs. It's all about finding the most vulnerable workers that you can dominate. Because ultimately, you want them to do the job of 2 workers, 3 workers, 4 workers, okay? They're easier to exploit. Elon banned me today for talking about class. Very telling. He bans me, but not the races. What? Oh, okay, I think you're missing a point. I love you, Hasan, but I've listened to you too much for about 6 weeks, and I think you need to do a deeper dive into race. Yes, we understand that. I do. I think chat does too. Dude, in 2024, we're not doing that, okay? No more hollow racial critiques, okay? Racism is a divisive component of this conversation that basically gets these dumbass MAGA guys to be on board with whatever the fuck the white supremacist forces are advocating for. If you think 2025, if you think that I'm not familiar with how racial dynamics are factored into this equation, I don't know what to tell you. This is still, at the end of the day, a primarily class-based problem. Okay? You want to know why I know this is a class-based problem? Racism is just an additional component that makes the position of capital owners more marketable to the white working class. Okay? You want to know why I know this is a class problem? Because they used to make these arguments against other people that were not considered white, okay? That are now obviously considered white. It's just depending on where these people are coming from, like the Irish, like the Italians, Polish people, Jewish people. Racism in this regard is simply a way to try and get broader subsects of the American labor force on board with arguments that actually harm them. This is literally the same situation for illegal Mexican immigrants on farms, right? Am I wrong? Basically, a workforce, you can work 4x the time for 25% of the pay for normal Americans, but because it's tech world and fancy sounding names, people don't associate them. Yes, you're absolutely correct, which is why I keep repeating that point over and over again. Wait till business owners, like small business owners that rely on undocumented labor, wait till those guys start feeling the pain of mass deportation. Anyway, following since 3 days ago, I think this person isn't aware that you talk about this constantly. I know. Racism in this regard is a way to drive a wedge between the working class, because the violence that is dished out upon black workers, brown workers alike, is dished out on a class basis. Unless you are talking about like individual acts of violence